Stuck in the wilderness after a plane crash, the protagonist must survive against a variety of threats, including cannibals, mutants, and environmental hazards, while discovering hidden secrets and treasures in the depth of the forest. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator, and welcome to the Sons of the Forest. If you have any video or game suggestions, send them to me on my Twitter or subreddit. Keep in mind that this video will have spoilers also of the original game, and with that in mind, let's begin. Sons of the Forest is a sequel game to The Forest. The Forest follows the story of a man named Eric LeBlanc, who survives a plane crash and finds himself stranded in a dense forest. Eric must explore the forest and gather resources to survive against cannibals, mutants, and other threats. The game begins with Eric on a plane with his son Timmy. Suddenly, the plane experiences turbulence and crashes on a mysterious island. After losing his consciousness, when Eric wakes up, he finds himself alone with no sign of Timmy anywhere to be seen. As he explores the forest, Eric discovers strange obsidian structures built by unknown ancient entities, as well as cannibals and mutants whom he must fight off to survive. As Eric progresses through the game, he discovers clues that suggest the island is home to a secret organization known as the Sahara Therapeutics, which has been conducting genetic experiments on humans. Eric eventually discovers an underground facility where the experiments took place and learns that Timmy may have been taken there as a test subject. As we learn later on, he was taken by someone named Dr. Cross, a researcher for Sahara Therapeutics, in hopes to help his daughter Megan, trying to sacrifice Timmy in order to save her life. Eric eventually finds Timmy in the facility, however the only way he can be saved is by using an ancient magical power of one of the artifacts. The plane crash was most likely caused by Sahara Therapeutics shooting down planes in order to get more test subjects. That is also most likely why the island is swarming with mutants. The organization was using ancient artifacts which seem to have had incredible properties, as even though Timmy died, he was brought back to life with the power of those artifacts, which left him with a never-ending thirst for the search of the universe and its secrets. Even though Timmy was brought back to life, he suffered the consequences of his return regularly by experiencing some sort of mutations in his body. The investigative military personnel hired by Puff Corp to find three missing Puffton family members, Barbara, Edward, and their daughter Virginia, are sent on the mission on an island that belongs to the Puftons. The protagonist shows a tattoo on his wrist which states "Fight Demons," which may be a form of foreshadowing of what is about to come. The helicopter in which the protagonist travels to the island is shot at by someone, but he manages to survive the crash and blacks out as a result. When he awakens, he sees a person wearing a silver jacket staring at him, pointing a gun at him with an intention of killing him, with the mysterious silver jacket wearing person deciding to spare him and instead knocking him unconscious. Upon waking, the protagonist finds his comrade Kelvin, who also survives the crash but suffers serious wounds which leave him seriously hurt and unresponsive. In order to help his comrade, the protagonist tells Kelvin to follow him. While exploring the forest, the protagonist encounters cannibals who seem to be indigenous to the island and ready to attack and hunt the protagonist any chance they get. But they are not the only danger lurking in the forest. There are also mutated and deformed human-like monsters which can be found in the forest and in caves. Some are without faces or heads, but torsos and strange-looking modified body parts. Eventually, while exploring the forest, the protagonist finds Virginia Puffton, one of the Puftons that went missing on this mysterious island. Upon the encounter, she looks different as she has one extra arm and a leg, which suggests her body mutated just like the bodies of other mutants on the island. She is curious but scared to approach the protagonist at first, but eventually she seems to want to befriend him as she shows off her dance moves and offers him food. The protagonist has an option to befriend Virginia and she can accompany him on his journey. Soon enough, the protagonist finds a keycard which leads him to a room with the surveillance cameras and a mysterious footage showing important members of the Puff Corp gathered together for what seems to be an important event. Even though nothing can be seen on the footage, they suddenly start transforming into mutants as if they are hit by a mysterious force or perhaps a sound, which is a direct cause of the mutation. Many died during the transformation, with one of the deceased mutated bodies belonging to Edward Puffton, a member of the family who went missing 31 weeks prior, as the guest name card left on the table right in front of the body suggests. Next to it is another name card left for Barbara Puffton. However, her body is nowhere to be found, suggesting she must have survived this strange occurrence, but most likely mutated like all the others and perhaps passed away somewhere different. Later on, as the protagonist explores the caves, he finds not only strange mutant-like creatures, but also lots of shiny gold-like metal spread on the cave's walls, which seem to be quite precious and possibly the same material from which some strange artifacts are made of. This suggests that the material itself may be priceless, which may have been the real reason behind Puffton's investment in the island. As the protagonist starts to explore the bunker some more, he finds a giant mutated monster which seems to be producing babies out of its mouth, fighting a man who fires a gun at it. The man is quite skilled and familiar with the island as he tries to take down the monster all by himself, but is later on joined by another older man who refers to him as a son. The young man is most likely Timmy LeBlanc, the child kidnapped by Dr. Cross in the previous game, The Forest. This time he is all grown but still accompanied by his father, Eric. The protagonist tries to help Timmy fight off the monster. However, before they are able to kill the monster, the strange man in the silver jacket who previously spared the life of the protagonist enters and shoots at Timmy's father, as if trying to protect the baby-producing monster. While that happens, the protagonist gets knocked out by the monster and blacks out yet again. He soon awakens again, exploring bunkers where he finds notes that talk about a mysterious cube and an artifact that causes dimensional switch, and the only place safe when that happens is inside the mysterious cube. The protagonist also finds a golden mask and a suit that looks like it was made of the same metal that can be found in the caves, which he collects. The protagonist finds a bunker that must have belonged to someone important in Puff Corp, perhaps Edward's family. He finds many paintings of the gold cube hanging on the walls in the bunker, and what's strange is that the cube is always in the center of the painting, but the environment in which the cube is placed in is always different, which may suggest that the cube itself can be found in any dimension and any reality, as it's endless and could be perhaps the way to travel through space and time while staying safe inside it. The protagonist finds a mysterious note stating "Crosses burn demons," which seems a little bit strange. Shortly after, he discovers that the bunker is connected through to the cave. While walking through the cave for some time, he finds a golden door, which seems as if he must wear the suit that he found earlier and place his hand on the door in order to unlock them. Once the door unlocks, he's led through the cave tunnel to a light. As he gets close to it, a monster comes out crawling towards the protagonist as if trying to attack or scare him and fan him away from the source of the light. The protagonist quickly remembers the note in the bunker stating "Crosses burn demons," and he decides to pull out the cross and use it on the monster, which burns him almost immediately, indicating the monster was in fact one of the many demons that occupied this magma-filled place. He finds a human skeleton with a note in his hand stating that the cube activates every 8 cycles. What's interesting to note, there are 8 moon phases in lunar month, which may suggest that each cube cycle is 1 moon phase. Therefore, the cube activates once every lunar cycle ends or begins, which is roughly every month or every 29 days. As he progresses through what resembles hill, he finds some more drawings of the cube when he eventually finds the golden cube and Timmy LeBlanc standing behind it. Timmy calls the protagonist over and shows him a laptop with a countdown on it, which shows that it's not the first time Timmy experiences it. As the cube closes, some of the protagonist's companions slip in through the crack, followed by the mysterious person in the silver jacket. However, the doors close on the silver jacket person, which causes him to stay outside of the cube. The silver jacket man seems to be the one working for Sahara Therapeutics rather than Puff Corp, as he seems to try and protect the island and monsters from Puff Corp's sent intruders and is a possible suspect in shooting the planes down. Once inside the cube, it starts to shake and Timmy drops down due to an uncontrollable sudden pain, which causes him to split into multiple versions of himself. He seems to be the only one affected by it, which may be due to the fact that he was previously experimented on as a child by Dr. Cross. Timmy seems to improve as one of the sides of the cube disappears, showing the survivors on an incredible and futuristic looking city located on what seems to be another planet. Shortly after the cube stops shaking, entrance doors open to reveal a mutant, which was probably the Silver Jacket Man, revealing what may happen to one if they stay outside of the cube when it shuts, confirming that the cube must be the artifact which allows interdimensional travel, but also causes mutation to those who are not inside while it activates, and possibly is one of the artifacts Sahara Therapeutics was using in order to experiment on people. The protagonist manages to escape death and can leave the island with Timmy and his comrade that was also sent there on the recovery mission. As we know from the previous game, The Forest, Sahara Therapeutics were responsible for multiple genetic experiments conducted on children and adults alike, where the subjects grew multiple limbs and experienced deformities to their bodies and face. Interestingly, Virginia, the missing girl, also had multiple limbs when she appeared in front of the protagonist, which may suggest that Sahara Therapeutics wasn't gone but still operating on the island. Sahara Therapeutics and Puff Corps were rivals in a bid for the remote island, and Puff Corps seemed to have outbid Sahara. Their war could be an explanation to what truly happened to all the people on the island. Perhaps Sahara was responsible for creating all the genetically modified mutants on the island, and without Puff Corps' permission, they expanded their operation to Site 2, not only Site 1, and proceeded experimenting on guests and employees of Puff Corps as a form of taking revenge for taking the island by force. Site 1 and Site 2 are both places where the ancient artifacts can be found, which would explain why it was so important for Sahara Therapeutics to have both sites in order to further conduct their experiments with the use of ancient artifacts. However, Puff Corp purchasing the island interrupted their plans and caused their company to suffer the consequences. The artifacts which Sahara Therapeutics used to experiment on human subjects are most likely the direct cause of all the mutations on the island. Majority of people mutate quite severely, apart from the indigenous cannibalistic tribes, whom seem to be somehow immune to the effects of the artifact, as they seem to have evolved for thousands of years alongside them. And that's about it for the Sons of the Forest. What are your thoughts about the game? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you folks for being here. It's been your host Star, and I will catch you on the next video. Till then, have a fantastic day.